This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English. In today's show, Dan the Man is back. I know, terrible news. But we are continuing with the topic of feet from last week's, Monday's show about socks. And today we're looking at two different coloured shoes day, which I thought was yesterday, but it was actually 1 week ago. But never mind. Dan and I are celebrating it in this episode, where we talk about other things as well, such as Marilyn Monroe, Oasis, Dan's nan, which is his grandmother, and many other things. Anyway, I forgot to do the review with Dan, so I will do it now. The review is from Pepe.25, and he wrote, just simply, very interesting and funny. So thanks for that, Pepe.25. Remember, if you leave me a review and you are not in Italy, please send me a picture so I can read it. Otherwise, I will not see it, and that is not good. Okay, so enjoy the show. Remember, all the vocabulary you can see is at www.rockandrollenglish.com. So if you hear a word and you want to know how to spell it, go to the website. And there's also a crazy quiz you can do. Okay, happy listening. Dan the Man, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
Fantastic, as always. Have you resolved the technical problems, Dan?
Well, yes, I have. They weren't my technical problems, they were your technical problems, but I've done all I can to make sure they don't happen my end.
I'm not sure if I believe that. But I hate to say it, but we did miss you on the last show. Okay, I don't want you to get too big for your boots here, Dan. What does that mean? Big for your boots?
You're accusing me of thinking I'm more important than I am, you scumbag.
Scumbag is a nice word there. It's basically a way to say you piece of shit, but less bad, but still not very good. So yes, I don't want you to feel more important than you are, but I think that you might actually be an important part of this podcast. Who would have ever said it?
That must have been hard for you to say.
Yeah, it was very difficult, Dan, but, you know, I've got an open mind, okay? I try to experience new things every day. And speaking of experiencing new things every day, yesterday was two different shoes day. Okay, so the point of this celebration is to obviously wear two different shoes with two different colours.
Where are they celebrating that?
Just internationally, Dan. I don't know exactly. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I actually quite like the reasoning behind it. Okay, so here we go. Dr. Arlene Kaiser.
Doctor. This does sound like a medical matter.
Different shoes, medical, yes. I'm not sure if I pronounced the doctor's name right there. So let's just call her Doctor from now on, because I don't want to offend her anymore. Anyways, she created this quirky celebration. What does quirky mean, Dan?
Weird, odd.
Yes. Oh, odd. We used that last week to say strange, actually, when you weren't here, Dan, on Monday's show. But yeah, it's odd or strange in a good way, quirky. So yeah, she created this quirky celebration to celebrate diversity in humans, Dan. Okay?
But surely there is already diversity. Can't we just wear normal shoes?
Well, apparently, she says, could you imagine a world where everyone was the same? And so she said, no, I can't. So I've created this day of wearing different coloured shoes. I'm not sure.
She's just looking for attention. That's all it is.
Such a positive outlook on life, as always, Dan. But I'm not sure if she means the same shoes in different colours or two completely different shoes, because that would be uncomfortable, surely.
Yeah, I think it's a money spinner, personally.
Oh, a money spinner is basically a way to make money. I don't know how much money she's making about this. I have never heard, well, I had never heard of this holiday until about an hour ago. Anyway, so she encourages people to be themselves, okay? And, don't follow the rules of society. So for this reason, I quite like it because, she's saying something similar to what one of my favourite bands once said, which was this.
I need to be myself. I copy no one else.
Oh yeah, I need to be myself. I copy no one else.
That's very good. So does that mean you're going to wear odd shoes now?
I mean, I am rock and roll, as you know, Dan, but wearing two different shoes is a little bit too rock and roll for me.
And it would give me the excuse I need not to walk with you. So maybe you should think about it.
Yeah, that would be nice to stay away from you. Okay, anyway, Dan. We are going to look at some strange facts, as always, about shoes, and then just have a few, conversation questions about shoes. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I can't wait.
I can't wait either, Dan. Okay, let's go. So, I've got something about dreaming of shoes, okay? Do you ever dream about shoes?
No. Do you?
Well, you say that, Dan, but the shoes could be hidden in your dreams, okay? Because apparently, if you are wearing shoes in your dreams, that means you are a down-to-earth kind of person. What does down-to-earth mean?
Humble.
Very nice. We've had that before, actually. Humble. And yes, basically, you don't feel important. We often use this for famous people. When you meet someone famous and you say, he was really down to earth because he didn't feel like he was,
He must be dreaming of shoes all the time.
Exactly, yeah. And so, yeah, apparently they just represent your approach to life in your dreams. If you change your shoes in your dreams, it means you're changing your views on life and your beliefs, okay?
Yeah.
So I suppose you've never changed your shoes in your dreams because you have had the same beliefs in life for the last 27 years.
I was wondering how you were going to turn that into an insult. And
well, that's the wonderful thing about me, Dan. I can change anything into an insult.
Do you change your shoes in your dream?
Every night.
That's your problem. You're not consistent. Okay? You turn like the wind.
Turn like the wind. Very nice. Move in the direction of the wind, but that is not true. I'm just an open-minded kind of person, Dan. Okay? You should be too. Welcome to the 21st century. Come with me. Anyway, so if you forget your shoes in your dream, it means that you are moving on with your life and leaving all difficulties behind you. Okay? So, do you ever forget your shoes in dreams?
No. I never dream about shoes. I have to admit that.
Speaking about forgetting about shoes, a story has just jumped into my mind.
I know this story because it just popped into my mind as well.
So, Dan the man came to my house once. We played on the PlayStation, as always. Dan left, and then my brother said to me, Martin, your friend Dan has taken my shoes.
It wasn't shoes. Well, I took one of his shoes and one of my shoes by accident.
That is even more ridiculous.
Well, I thought at the time one of the shoes was quite hard to put on.
So, yeah, just to be clear, Dan put one of his shoes on and one of my brother's shoes on, left my house, and then my brother wanted to go out and thought, what the fuck is that idiot doing? Taking my shoes.
They were work shoes. I think he wanted to go to work.
But he couldn't because Dan the man was wearing one of his shoes. Maybe that was Wear Different Shoes Day, Dan. And so that's why you wanted to wear, one of your shoes and one of my brother's.
I am like a doctor, aren't I? So that would make sense.
Anyway, back to the dreams. Old shoes, if you are wearing old shoes, obviously, in your dream, represents hard work. Okay? Again, something you would know nothing about, Dan.
I don't dream about shoes, okay? So none of this applies to me.
Well, it should, okay? So I dream about old shoes every day because I work hard. Anyway, so obviously shoes, what we consider shoes in English, are more smart, let's say, and things that you would wear to work, like with trousers. But if in the weekend you have a pair of jeans on, what do you normally wear, Dan?
Trainers.
Trainers, exactly, which are normally white, Adidas, Nike, these kinds of things. They are trainers. But how do you say trainers in America, Dan? Do you know?
I get sneakers.
Sneakers, yes, which is a horrible American word. But I found out today that comes from the word to sneak. So if you sneak around, Dan, what does that mean?
Well, you move around silently.
Exactly. And because the shoes don't create any sound like these trainers, or sneakers, as they say in America. So because they don't create any sound, people can sneak around. So,
Mostly burglars.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously burglar is someone that steals things from your house. And yeah, they probably wear sneakers, so you can't hear them. Okay, so apparently the most expensive shoes in the world were $660,000, and they were worn by Judy Garland on The Wizard of Oz, which, is a
Really?
film. But from, Monday's show, we saw that the most expensive sock was £30 million. So that's, a lot more expensive than the most expensive shoes. And here it says shoes, plural, and that was sock, singular. So, Okay, so now we're going to move to high heels, which are obviously...
Your favourite?
Yeah, my favourite, sure. The shoes that women wear to make them look taller. Apparently, Marilyn Monroe said once, "I don't know who invented the high heel, but women owe that person a lot." So if you owe someone something, Dan, what does that mean?
Means you're in debt.
Yes, so she's saying women have a debt to the person that invented high heels. But I've got news for you, Marilyn. I know who invented high heels. Or do I? No, I do. There are different stories. One of them was that they were designed for Queen Victoria. Which
Really?
Yeah, which annoyed me because it seems everything, on every podcast, there is always a connection back to the Queen. Jesus Christ. She should mind her own business, this Queen. There is another story that they were made by prostitutes in Venice because apparently men preferred taller prostitutes, so the women kept putting things under their feet to make them look taller and taller.
But how tall do you like your prostitutes?
Good question. I'm going to answer that question in a slightly different way, in that I generally prefer women smaller than me. So I don't know why the men liked these really tall women. But I suppose when I say I prefer women that are shorter than me, I'm quite short anyway. So that probably explains why I haven't got a girlfriend.
You could wear heels.
I could wear heels, Dan. Yeah, you're right. I might do that. In fact, men were the first to wear high heels because apparently it demonstrated that you were rich, basically. So men used to wear them. So
There you go.
there's another fact for you, Dan.
That's why we don't wear heels.
Exactly. We're not rich. Apparently, there's a shoe made by Oliver Sweeney. I don't know. It might be a fashionable brand. I don't know. That inside the shoe, like, you can put a small bottle of whiskey. So, if you want a bottle of whiskey and shoes at the same time,
Oliver Sweeney.
call Oliver Sweeney. And do you know who Carrie Bradshaw is, Dan?
No. Did you before you researched this?
Yeah, because she's the main character from Sex and the City.
Oh, of course. You watched this, didn't you? I forgot.
Oh, yeah. I watched all of Sex and the City. In fact, I watched it all in Italian with no subtitles, and that really helped me improve my Italian. So I recommend to everyone to watch Sex and the City in English to improve your English, because it's just stupid stuff and it's quite easy to understand. Anyway, she had a lot of shoes in the show, and apparently the value of those shoes would be $40,000, Dan. So
That's ridiculous.
well, it was not real life, though. It was a TV program. So now we're going to look at some general conversation questions about shoes, Dan. Okay? So what does someone's shoes tell you about that person? Does it give you any messages?
Well, as my nan used to say, where they've been and where they're going.
So when he says where they've been, where they have been, and where they are going. What? You mean...
Well, so if they're covered in mud, they've been somewhere shit. And if they're smart, they're going somewhere nice.
Oh, that is actually a very intelligent thing. Obviously, your nan said that and you didn't, which is why, I'm impressed, because you don't really say intelligent things. But I like that. Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, I can tell a lot by someone's shoes, actually.
Go on then. What can you tell?
Well,
What can you tell about my shoes?
Well,
Let's hear this.
You have always worn shit shoes, Dan, really. Like, this is not even a joke. I mean, you used to wear shit clothes, like, in the past. Now, a little bit better, but your shoes, Jesus Christ, you need to improve your shoe game.
What shoes are you talking about?
Every pair of shoes you own.
What, Converse?
Do you own any Converse?
Yes, I've been wearing Converse for about 10 years.
Nice, present perfect, continuous there, Dan. I've been wearing Converse for about 10 years. Started in the past, still in progress. Boom. I've never seen you in any. So, do you prefer comfortable shoes, Dan, or uncomfortable, fashionable shoes?
I'll let you answer that one. What do you think?
Well, now I'm getting older and I have a problem with my ankle. I probably have to move towards the more comfortable option. In fact, my favourite pair of shoes cost £2.99p, but they don't give me enough protection for my ankle, and they cause me a lot of pain. So, unfortunately,
Does your ankle still hurt? Does your ankle still hurt?
Yes, I had two serious operations, Dan. It was nearly 10 years ago, but it still does hurt. Yes, thanks for asking. Thanks for your concern, Dan.
You're welcome.
And what about taking your shoes off when you go to someone's house, Dan? Do you think that should be compulsory?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's quite tradition in English, just when you enter someone's house, to take off your shoes. Not so much here in Italy, but yeah, in England we like to,
Well, it rains a lot here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of crap on the streets,
Yeah,
dog shit.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great note to finish the episode on, Dan. Dog shit. Just leave everyone feeling positive, as always, yeah. How it rains in England and there's dog shit on your shoes.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, thanks as always, Dan, for your enthusiasm and your rock and roll English.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you soon.
Cheers. See you later.
See you later. Okay, so that was Dan the Man and me talking about different coloured shoes day, which, is a big day in everyone's calendar. It was a few minutes longer than usual because we were so happy to talk about shoes. Anyway, let's look at some of that rock and roll vocabulary. So, big for your boots is a very nice expression we use, which is when someone feels more important than they are. We often say, recently he has been getting a bit big for his boots, for example. Dan called me a scumbag, which is not a nice thing to say. It's, like you piece of shit, something like that. So, try not to say that. We had the word trainers, which, remember, is what you wear on your feet that are not smart, like white, like Adidas, Nike. And the Americans say sneakers, remember, and that is where we used the verb to sneak around. Well, to sneak is the verb when you walk silently, like a burglars sneak around your house when they steal things from you. We had a very nice word, which was quirky, when I said that the doctor woman had invented this quirky celebration. So remember, quirky is like strange, but in a good way, like this celebration. We had the quote from Marilyn Monroe when she said, "I don't know who invented the high heel, but women owe them a lot." So that's like they have a debt with them. Dan mentioned the term money spinner, which is just a way to make money. For example, rock and roll English is definitely not a money spinner because, I don't earn any money, but never mind. And we had down to earth. Like a down to earth person is like a humble person, someone that doesn't feel important. I suppose it's the opposite of big for your boots, because if you're down to earth, you are definitely not big for your boots. And Dan also used the expression "you turn like the wind," which is someone that is easily influenced because they move in the direction that the wind moves. So they change every day. Anyway, I must admit I told you a lie in the show, because when we heard that song, I said it was one of my favourite bands. Well, that is a lie, because it is my favourite band, which is Oasis, and the song is Supersonic, which I will leave you with today. Okay? So, see you Monday, and keep on rocking.
Sell with me.